What video or recording is perfectly innocent, but becomes terrifying when you look into the story behind it? My mom and I recently watched one of those 2020 shows, and they were talking about a woman who went out drinking one night, and was never seen again. She had gone back to one guy's apartment, but hotel footage showed her leave shortly after arriving, and the guy in the apartment swore he didn't do anything to her. But they kept interviewing this one guy, who was the last guy to see her alive. They stopped at a gas station, and he claims that she started talking to another guy, got in his car and left. He played the whole "if I had only known, I wouldn't have let her go" act, with tears and everything. Well, there's footage of him at his job a couple days later, and the footage is super generic. He has a cooler on a rolling cart, and he's putting it in a freezer. He worked for a food production company. When the police interviewed his boss, they asked to see all of her footage, and she obliged. When they got to that part of the footage, him putting the cooler in the freezer, she told police to stop. She said that those coolers were used to store granola bars, and there was zero reason for those bars to be put in the freezer. The girl's body was in there. He took it out back and burned basically everything in a barrel down the alley a couple days later, but it was before the police had seen the footage. And he had bleached his entire van before police could search it. The dating game. The concept appeared innocent enough. A woman chooses a bachelor out of the 3 available contestants and they go on a date. However, the game in 1978 turned dark when serial killer Rodney Alcala was nominated to be a contestant and actually won the game. The contestant refused to go out with him on the date because she thought he was actually creepy afterwards. She dodged a bullet. This surveillance video of Timothy Pitzen it just looks like he and his mother are checking into a hotel, but in reality it is shortly before his mother kills herself and leaves behind a note saying Timothy is safe but will never be found. He is still missing. The song Anne-Marie sings in All Dogs Go to Heaven about wanting a loving home. While recording, the voice actress, Judith Barcy, kept crying. Her home life was awful. Her father was abusive to both her and her mother and would often threaten to kill or hurt them. Judith died before the movie came out. She and her mother were killed by her father and then he killed himself. She was 10. What about the video that was on Tosh.0 where there were 2 girls and the dad tied them in a playful way to the bed? But it was really like a pedo tutorial on how to do this to kids so the pedo could do what they wanted. Tosh said on the show it was creepy and the guy's whole YouTube channel was weird. A few months later the FBI or something investigated it and it turned out the guy was a pedo abusing the girls and exploiting them on his kid's YouTube channel. That video looked creepy innocent until you find out the real story. One day I saw a news report on a woman's body dropped in a lake. The police were still looking for the body. They interviewed a man who said that could have been someone's mother. A few hours later they find out the body was that man's mother. I'm from Czech Republic and on YouTube, there's a video of a who wants to be a millionaire contender Victor Klavoda. He's a pretty smart guy and performs better than well. However, later he's become one of the most famous mass murderers in the history of our country. That who wants to be a millionaire video always gives me goosebumps. Redditors take a pic of them on a hike. In the background is the unconscious body of a person who was severely injured the night before. There was a picture of a 16 to 17-year-old girl floating around very briefly years back. It was just an innocent picture of some teen posing for a photo. Looked deeper into it and it turns out the girl was from a rich family and had a drug problem. She got into an argument with her dad, stormed out and stole his car, did a bunch of coke, then crashed into a bridge going hella fast. She was killed instantly. As sad as that is, the messed up part is why the photo was being passed around. Somehow the photos taken as the scene of the crash found their way online and horrifically cruel people decided to send out fake memorial emails to this girl's family. Opening the email seemed innocent enough. A heartfelt subject about how terrible this was, a photo of this girl before she died, but scroll any further and there were the pictures of her corpse with messages taunting her loved ones. I found one of these messages and her body was not in one piece. It was mangled. Seeing your daughter's corpse is one thing, seeing it in that state is something else, but to have people playing with it online for no other reason than to hurt you is unthinkable.
Now once you get into a car with somebody, you're at their mercy. Just stay in the vehicle, lock all the doors, turn on the emergency flashers, and wait for help to come. Even if you have to wait all night, it's better to be in the safety of your vehicle and spend the night than to try to walk and get assistance. Anything could happen. Being a female, you could be raped, robbed if you're a male, all the way to where you could be killed. Once you get in that other person's car, you're at their mercy.
This video of former Officer Craig Peyer giving safety advice that was created in response to the murder of Kara Knott. Peyer had murdered Knott by luring her to an isolated area just off the freeway. Carmen Miranda's last performance. Carmen Miranda, the famous singer and dancer of the 1940s, performed on the Jimmy Durante Show on August 4, 1955. At the end of her performance she briefly dropped to her knee but popped back up afterwards. She later died of a massive heart attack that same night.
And no one's heard from her since.
Did you see her hang out with anyone at the time, anything like that?
No one has seen her since Saturday. I haven't seen anything. I've always heard noise outside, but it's just people walking by pretty much.
And she just recently graduated from Mercer?
Yeah, she and I were both JD students. We graduated back in May.
What kind of person was she? What did you see?
She's as nice as can be. Very personable, very much a people person.
Do you know anybody any enemies she might have had, somebody that might want to hurt her?
No, we don't know where she is. The only thing we can think is that maybe she went out running and someone snatched her. Because we went over, one of her friends had a key, we went inside and tried to see if there was anything amiss, but she had a door jamb that was sitting right by it, so there was no sign that anyone broke in. The door was locked when everyone got here. We just don't know where she is.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of, I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body?
Had you seen anything there? Had you seen anything there? We don't know if this is the same person. You know what I mean? They took out a body there earlier. We don't know if it's the same person or not. So that's why we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there. Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay.
This interview about a murder with Stephen McDaniel, in which her neighbor ended up being the one who kidnapped and dismembered her. It's horrifying looking back and seeing his tics where they bring her up, and even when they eventually find her body and he goes loco. There was a celebrity in the UK called Jimmy Savile who presented many BBC programs in the 1970s, especially ones with a younger audience. He did a campaign for seatbelt awareness and was a patron for many charities for the vulnerable. He was probably the most loved celebrity for decades. After his death he was revealed as the country's worst child sex offender who used his fame and proximity to children to abuse them. Any picture or TV footage of him near kids was probably shot just before or after he'd assaulted someone. Dr. Nasser's sports medicine videos. He's one of the docs for USA Gymnastics and has a ton of videos on his website of him demonstrating various sports med techniques and treatments. It looks professional on the surface. The thing is, some of his techniques are totally made up. Some techniques he demonstrated on video he would digitally penetrate young girls. He performed these techniques on hundreds of young girls under the guise of it being for their health and sometimes directly in front of their parents, sometimes while aroused. Watch Athlete A on Netflix if you want the story on this scumbag.
Maybe she was just busy, like she had just gotten back, you know, like everybody's probably calling her from her trip. She just got back from Arizona, and I figured she was just busy. But when her friend showed up, that's what it was like, it registered like, all right, this isn't right.
Do you think she just took off? Do you think?
I mean, right now I don't even want to just like throw anything out there. Like, I hope that she's somewhere safe right now and with the kids. But I mean, could she have just taken off? I don't know. But if somebody has her and they're not safe, like, I want them back now. Like that's what's in my head. Like, if they're safe right now, they're gonna come back. But if they're not safe right now, that's the not knowing part. Like, if they're not safe, last night I had every light in the house on. I was hoping that I would just ran over by the kids running in the door and just like barrel rushing me, but it didn't happen. And it was just a traumatic night trying to be here.
I'm gonna ask some kind of tough questions about your relationship with the kids.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, my kids are my life. I mean, those smiles light up my life. And just like, I mean, last night, like during like when they usually eat dinner, it was just like I miss them. Like, I mean, I miss telling them, hey, you got to eat that, or you're not gonna get your dessert, you know, and just like you're not gonna get your snack after. I miss that. Like, I miss them, you know, cuddle up on their couches. They have like a Minnie Mouse couch and a Sophia couch that they cuddle up on and watch, you know, Bubble Guppies or something. And it was just like, you know, it was tearing me apart last night, and I needed that. I needed that last night.
Chris Watts pleading for the return of his pregnant wife and daughters. He confessed to killing them all the following week. Next-door neighbor security footage of a disturbingly calm Chris Watt loading up his work truck in the morning with the bodies of his recently strangled pregnant wife and 2 young children, to dispose of them. Absolutely messed up. In a recent interview, he said the kids were still alive in that video and took their lives at the dump site. Fire at a nursing home in Sydney back in 2011. TV reporter interviews one of the nurses, Roger Dean, who tells of helping get residents out. Then the police announce he was the one who set the fire to start with to try to cover up his theft of $85 worth of prescription drugs. 11 people died in the fire. In 2016, YouTube Brittani Louise Taylor uploaded a video titled "I'm Engaged and Pregnant." She talks about a man she had met on Tinder, and that she is now pregnant.
This is my baby daddy. This is Milos. You want to say hi?
Hi. Hi, guys.
Hey. So, I saved the best for last, right?
Exactly.
Are you happy that you're marrying me?
I'm the happiest man on the planet.
Are you happy that you knocked me up?
Very much.
We were at the first ultrasound. I feel it's the camera. Okay, we were at the first ultrasound, and it was so funny because I looked over at him and I was like, "You did this to me." He's like,
and I was so proud.
He's so proud. So, yeah, this is my video. That's what's been going on in my life. I love you guys, and do you want to say anything to them?
Yeah, sure. Well,
bye.
Bye.
Bye. Mwah.
After the baby was born, it emerged that this man was never in love with her, but was just pretending. He had targeted her for human trafficking and had deliberately got her pregnant in order to sell her baby. With that information, it's really scary how he looks at her at the end of the video, and how he treats her in other clips on her YouTube channel. Fortunately, she escaped the situation and got a restraining order. The scariest thing about this is that he didn't go to prison, and went on to impregnate and marry another Instagrammer, who has since disappeared from social media. Be careful when you swipe right, kids. If you want to find out more about the story, Brittani has a book called A Sucky Love Story. It's badly written but fascinating. Can't find video of it, but this happened in 2004. Guy named John Sharp lived in the suburb of Mornington in Victoria, Australia, with his wife Anna and 2-year-old daughter Gracie. One day Anna, who was 5 months pregnant with a boy, and Gracie suddenly vanished. John Sharp made a teary plea to his wife to come home, that she and Gracie were missed, and he loved them both so much, etc. A few days later, police charge a man with the murders of Anna and Gracie. That man was John Sharp. John Sharp shot his wife in the head with a bow and arrow, killing her. He then shot his daughter. The first shot didn't kill 2-year-old Gracie, so he pulled the arrow out of her head, and shot her again. He dismembered the bodies, bagged up the parts, and dumped them at the tip, basically landfill, if you will. He'd first buried the bodies in the backyard but dug them up after he became worried he'd be found out. He'd even gone so far as to send flowers to Anna's mother overseas, pretending she was still alive, when in actual fact she was buried in the backyard. He got 35 years, and from what I've heard, he spent most of it in solitary, because literally every other prisoner has tried to kill him. This video from June of 2012 showing a 20-year-old man playing Dance Dance Revolution at an AMC theater in Connecticut. He is being unknowingly recorded from behind by some people who spotted him, and they are both mocking him and admiring his skills at the game. 6 months after this video was taken, the young man in the video, Adam Lanza, would shoot his mother 4 times in the head while she slept. He would then drive his car to the nearby Sandy Hook Elementary School, where he would murder 6 adults and 20 children who were between the ages of 6 and 7. During the shooting, he yelled abuse and obscenities at his victims. One student reported that he heard one of his classmates cry out, "Help me. I don't want to be here." And Lanza replied, "Well, you're here." Upon hearing the sirens of responding police units, Lanza pulled out a 10mm pistol and shot himself. No motive for the shooting was ever found. Back in the 90s, there was a segment on the Jenny Jones show where a guy, Scott Ameger, confessed that he had a crush on a male friend, Jonathan Schmitz. Schmitz was so embarrassed by the appearance that he shot and killed Ameger 3 days after the taping. As always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, show your support. Leave your thoughts and opinions down below.